Today, our webinar is about helping entrepreneurs to create strong teams and manage diverse personalities. And we've got in the room here with us today two panelists in the form of Mornay Kurtz and Julia Kukard. I'll introduce them to you now shortly. We also have Andre de Pre, the MD of IBASA, in the room, and Redwan Jawuddin from Chiba, who will, by the end of the webinar, talk about the bursaries that you can win as a participant in the webinar today for a postgraduate diploma in small enterprise consulting for the 2020 intake from Chiba. But we'll leave that till later on for everyone to introduce to us. So please stay tuned so you can learn how you can actually benefit from perhaps winning that one of the 4 bursaries that are available. You may also learn about the program as such, because he's going to show us a bit about that. And then, of course, IBASA will also share its news by the end of the webinar. Okay, so let me ask Julia, Mornay, Andre, if you can all switch on your cameras. Mornay, you too. It's the button at the bottom next to the mute button in the corner there. Just switch on your camera for us, Mornay. Can you see the button there? I think Irene was helping Mornay. So Irene, if you can just help Mornay to get his camera going. Let me know we can see him too. I hope load shedding hasn't arrived there too. Okay, so let's see. Hopefully Mornay can switch on his camera just now. Our topic of discussion today is helping entrepreneurs to create strong teams and manage diverse personalities. We've got Redwan Jawuddin in the room from Chiba, who will speak about the postgraduate diploma in small business consulting, of which they're offering some bursaries to later on. From IBASA side, we've got the MD Andre de Pre in the room. My name is Christoph Westhuizen, and I'm from the EPI. I'm hosting this webinar for us today. And then we've got 2 panelists that will be speaking about the topic. Julia Kukard, welcome Julia. Julia is one of the founding partners of Aephoria Partners. She's been consulting quite a while, including in the SME space for over 30 years in a lot of her consulting around people and diversity and getting teams to work together. And she's also teaching advanced leadership at UCT's Graduate School of Business for close to 10 years now. So welcome, Julia. We're looking forward to hear from you about this thing about building teams and when people show up in the world in different ways, how they can best be guided in becoming strong teams.
Right.
Right. So we'll speak just now, and then also Mornay Kurtz. Welcome, Mornay. We can see Mornay now. You don't have to speak right now, Mornay, but we'll come to you just now. Mornay is the CEO of MCK Engineering and Training in Saldanha, which he launched in a small workshop in 2006 already, and over time built that business to having a presence in all the major dry docks in South Africa at the moment, very involved in the training of technical people. And of course, he could achieve that in building his team, so coming from the engineering side, but understanding that you need people in business to make things happen. And we hope to learn from you and your experience, you telling your story today, Mornay. So thank you very much for offering your time to share with us. But let's get going by doing a quick poll. So by the way, you can just watch the poll appearing in front of you just now, and you'll be able to vote on when we start off with our clients, whether we use tools or models to help us in matching our approach to the specific situation of the client, in understanding the client better. So as business advisors or mentors, coaches, doesn't matter which, consultants, trainers, facilitators, we start with the business. Do you use any tools or models in guiding you to understand the context of your client better? So yes, I always do. Yes, I mostly do. Yes, I do when it's appropriate. No, I tried, but it did not work. No, I have not tried at all. And no, I don't really understand the question. So take your choice there. The poll window would have popped up on your screen. And then there's a second question, which is about building teams. So which tools or models or approaches do you use in helping clients to work efficiently and understand each other better? And you can choose any of those that are applicable to you. Personal profiling, entrepreneurial competencies tests, aptitude tests, skills assessments, cultural or general fit with fit assessments, just your gut feel, and any other. And if there are other, you can type it into the text chat so that we can note what those others are that we may not have given as an option. So please keep voting. I'm going to end the poll just now, so you've got like a second or two to vote if you haven't yet. So going. It will give us a good sense of where people are at that are joining. So I see there's still quite a bit of voting happening. So I don't want to exclude anyone, but we won't stay on this for much longer. So if you haven't voted, do so quickly. And then I'll be ending the poll right now. Okay, I'll share the results quickly with you. Yes, I do when it's appropriate. So we don't always, most of us are saying that. And some of us do quite always, a good quarter of us, close to a quarter of us. And more than a third of us when appropriate, and mostly another 18%. So it looks like most of us, in fact, are considering ourselves and our clients and how the two of us match. So I know Julia is going to cover a bit of that in what she's going to present, Julia. So maybe you can reflect a bit on that result in doing so. And then most of us, about 60%, do skills assessments when we talk about team building. So who must do what based on skills, but also tools like personality profiling. About 44% of us are using that, and a lot gut feel. So that is interesting to know too. That is a tool, your gut, to use sometimes as well. Okay, so that's just interesting for us to note. People in the room showing up here today, what our approaches are and how we go about. So Julia, if I can come to you.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm not sure if my introduction of you was accurate.
Yeah.
Did I miss something important?
No, I just, perhaps it's useful to say I'm also speaking as a small business owner.
You're a small business owner yourself too, yeah, like many of us are. So.
Yeah, who employs people and struggles to match people into the team, despite my 20, 30 years in the field of psychology and working with teams. So it's a very difficult thing to do. So yeah, shall I start? Do you want to get my slides up or?
Yes, we've shared them, so you can refer to your slides in explaining to us how we can learn from your experience.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start with the first slide. Are you on your 3G, Carl?
In fact, I've now taken over from Carl because Carl's connection has fallen over totally now.
This load shedding is really a challenge.
It is. But here we are ready to learn from you.
I think it's important to get used to these kinds of challenges, not just because we're in South Africa, but globally. I think this is going to become more and more the norm.
Okay, so the screen share is on. Julia?
Yeah, I'm not, nothing's happening.
You can't see it?
No.
Andre, can you help us out? Can you see the screen share? Yes, Andre can see it. So it is there.
Yeah, can you move to the next slide?
Okay, so we're on why can't everyone be like me?
Yeah, I'm not there.
Oh gosh, are you on a different slide?
Yeah, maybe I'm on still the front page.
Maybe you're on a different window. Are you still also on the front page, Andre? The first page?
Yeah.
That's interesting. So let's see why that may be. Okay, I'm on the front page now. Now I'm on the second page. I'm going to stop share and let's retry. Let's start over. Okay. Can you see now?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to start in a very sort of practical way with one of the statements that I hear from a lot of people, particularly small business owners. You know, why can't everyone be more like me? And the other one is they just have no common sense. And there's a sort of a belief that somehow everyone's version of common sense is going to be exactly the same. But it never, never is. And what often happens when employers don't understand why staff are behaving as they need to behave, what happens is we just tend to employ more people like ourselves instead of facing up to the task and challenge of trying to build a diverse team. Can you slip us over into the next slide? Okay, so you're going to have to tell me when I'm in the next slide because I'm not there.
Okay, but maybe we do have an issue here. So, Andre, can you help me out? Are we now on everyone really is that slide?
I think this is still the same one.
Okay, so
maybe next
forward.
time I will only.
That's really interesting and frustrating.
You know what?
We are sharing a screen. Just hang on 1 second. So everyone, that one's sharing now. Everyone is. That's your second slide that we are now?
I'm not there yet.
Okay, so let's try something else. Sorry, people, for this technical issue. I'm going to see if we do it in a different way. Stop the slide share there.
It's all good. This is the way life goes.
It happens. So let's try this one. So
okay.
How's that?
Right. So this is just a slide saying that, in fact, there is no one the same as you. No one in the world thinks the same as you. And the sooner we start to understand that, the quicker we can get to terms with how different people operate. So there's a very strong business case for diversity. And quite a lot of literature on it, and I've put a reference at the bottom of the page, that actually diverse personalities, people from diverse backgrounds, do create better performance, better innovation, greater capacity to understand markets, and a lot of other value adds for the business. But it does require quite a lot of effort to harness all of this difference and get people to work in an aligned way. Could we try for the next slide? Aha, right. Okay, good. So we have to make an effort to work with diverse teams. You know, if we want to get the value from diversity, we're going to have to work with different people. And this means working with people that we may not like or that may have different views on the world from us. So we have to make a bit of an effort. The best way to start working with other people and trying to understand them is to understand ourselves. So the reason why we need to understand ourselves is we have to know how we make sense of the world, what is meaningful to us, and how we judge other people. So, for example, if we are really, really perfectionistic, and other people come along and they don't do the jobs to the same standard as what we require, if we're not aware of our perfectionism, we might never find a staff member that meets our needs. So the more we understand who we are, the better we can assess the world. So the next slide is about how we start accessing information about other people. And so the first step really is around building a relationship. Now, what's been really interesting in my years is that working with people, it seems like everyone has got their own funny little relationship recipe, how they access people. You know, some people smile and look cute, and that results in people connecting with them and building a relationship. Other people go forward and introduce themselves, but we all have our own little connection recipe, and we need to think, what is our special superpower when it comes to connecting, and develop those skills and use those skills in our business. Because without relationship, nothing can happen. We can never learn about other people and how to get them to work better for us and in teams. And we can't even train them or develop their skills. So relationship is absolutely critical. Can we go to the next slide? Right, so maybe just to avoid any sort of slide problems, just keep clicking and let all of the text come up. Yeah. So for most of us, it's useful to use a typology like the Enneagram to make sense of other people, to give us a mirror of ourselves, but also of other people. And the Enneagram is a really, really good tool, and there are a number of free online assessments that you can use for yourself or your team. And the value of the Enneagram is around understanding what drives people. So this is a tool that shows you what drives people. I'm going to just quickly have a look at the questions that are here. Okay, maybe we just, Luambo, is it a good thing to hire a team that brings in not only innovation, but with more knowledge than me as the boss? I love that question. That's brilliant. So it's quite a tricky thing, because most people who set up businesses think they know everything about what needs to be done. And it's quite hard for them to take that feedback and take input from other people, because it can often feel like a criticism. But a mature boss actually would hire people who are more skilled than themselves, because they could take feedback and they could take direction, even if they are the owner of the business. So back to the Enneagram. Christoph, are you wanting to say something to me?
No, I was not just nodding in agreement. So
Okay.
I kind of recognize, because I've done the Enneagram test myself, you know, sort of, so kind of,
Okay.
I'm like 5, 8, you know, sort of, so that's interesting. I'm not sure what kind of boss I am.
Yeah, so I'm in that same zone. So maybe it's a good place to start. And I'll just give a really broad description of each of the personalities, and perhaps you guys who are listening can think to yourselves who fits where and maybe where you are. So let's start with the 8s. There's a logic here, but I'm not going to give you all the theory. So Enneagram 8 bosses like to be in control. They like to be in charge. They don't like to get feedback. They like to know everything, and they like to be strong. They like to look after their people. But they're quite tricky to give feedback to, and they can lose their temper and behave badly. They also expect everyone to work as hard as they do, and they get really cross when people are more interested in having nice relationships and not completing tasks. So a lot of small business owners are Enneagram 8s because they're very entrepreneurial and they hate to work for anyone else. So you might find quite a lot of you in this zone. Enneagram 9s are conflict avoiders. They prefer to just get on with everyone, and they're often more interested in relationships rather than achieving transactions. And so this can be a bit problematic in the context of small businesses, because people don't resolve conflicts. However, they do create great relationships. Enneagram 1s are all about perfectionism. So we see a lot of that in small business. And in small business, those guys get very orientated towards making a perfect product. And sometimes they forget about the customer. So if you're the kind of person that is perfectionistic and needs everything to be done absolutely perfectly, know that you might come in there. Enneagram 2s, it's all about being liked and loved. Very useful for establishing relationships, but sometimes quite tricky because you can't say no. And what I found quite amusing and interesting is how Enneagram 2 struggle to build clients for products. They undervalue themselves and often undervalue their products as well. Enneagram 3 love to succeed and to win, and sometimes are found in entrepreneurial situations, but quite like also working for a corporate with that kind of a structure. Many entrepreneurs are Enneagram 4. It's all about being unique and providing something special and different to the world. Very particular about what they deliver into the world, sometimes over-deliver on the product side and go for creativity and innovation, possibly at the expense of profit. Enneagram 5s tend to be quite introverted and like to work quietly on their own in a very structured situation. They're best at selling through electronic media because they don't really like to engage in humans. Lots of engineers, vets, those kinds of people fit into the Enneagram 5 section. People that love numbers, people that love machinery, that don't particularly like humans. Enneagram 6s, so what's quite interesting is the worry for Enneagram 6 is fear of what might happen, of insecurity, of lack of safety. So we don't always see them in entrepreneurial situations because they like to manage their risk in the world by getting jobs in very stable organizations. And so what they might tend to do is be less entrepreneurial and more focused on stability, especially in managing a business. Lots of Enneagram 7s in entrepreneurship, big picture, lots of projects, lots of new businesses fragmenting, doing all sorts of things, and quite tricky for them to actually finish projects and do things properly. Great salespeople, but not very good at finishing. So if you are one of these guys, you need to find yourself a nice Enneagram 1 who's going to finish your projects for you. Someone that does stuff properly. Someone that will finish things when you get too bored to finish things. I've got a lot of this going on for me. And so I try to keep a finisher quite close.
So, Julia, does that relate to an entrepreneur and his or her advisor or supporter too?
Yeah, you see there's going to be a lot of irritation between different personalities. For example, if you have an Enneagram 1 advisor working with an Enneagram 7 client, as the Enneagram 1 person, you're going to want to do stuff properly, and then you're going to see this person just having a jaw in the world, doing only exciting stuff, not finishing things off properly, winging it, and you might have a lot of judgment around that. And so you as an advisor will have to work with that because there's a lot of value in what Enneagram 7 brings. And then no one is going to do anything quite like you. But if you judge them, you're going to alienate them. And then you're not going to have a relationship through which to teach people things. So that's the big trick, is to avoid judging people based on their personality, because that will destroy the relationship.
That's quite an important point. I think, sorry for interrupting you, but just to emphasize that one for us as practitioners, you know, because you said first start off by understanding yourself, and these tools like the Enneagram or others, some people use other tools to understand themselves better.
Yeah.
But so start with that awareness. And I just wanted to check in with you. So that awareness, you're not saying, oh, if you are a 1, you never should work with a 7. It is just be aware that, be aware that you are, or how should we plan around that?
Yeah. And I think there's sort of the big things to watch out for are perfectionism, level of completion of jobs. Also, there's a lot of judgment between people who are focused on transactions and doing stuff versus people that are focused on relationships. So
is there another example, perhaps, sort of between two types, like a client and a practitioner, that you can give us some tips on?
Yeah. So, for example, you get like an Enneagram 8 person advising an Enneagram 9 person. That's a problem. So what happens is the 8 will come in and say, you must do this, you've got to get your stuff together, speak in this very assertive, strong voice, and that will just completely freak out the Enneagram 9. So what will happen is that Enneagram 9 person will just nod, yeah, and you'll see they're a bit blank behind the eyes because it's become too aggressive for them to stay present. So the style of delivery has become uncomfortable for the person. So when you are a business advisor, it's important to go in and feel your way. How is that person? Are they comfortable with conflict? Do you have to moderate yourself, or do you have to get a bit stronger and harder when you engage with them? So the people that are normally transactionally focused, they want to do stuff in the world that's related to achievement or success. That's how they measure their success. Those guys you can speak a little bit tougher to. You can be a little bit focused on outcomes. The people that are more focused on relationships, you need to soften yourself and mellow into relationship with them. And when you talk to these guys, if they're relationship focused, you need to start off with some relationship questions. Don't just skip straight into business. How are you? How's your life? How are you feeling today? Gosh, that looks good on you. Whatever, something that will build a relationship. The transactional guys they're happier to kind of get into business a lot quicker. But I think the key thing here is it's less important what typology you use and more important that you learn to feel into each person and understand who they are and who you are in relationship to them. We often talk about intention and impact, and it's a very useful concept when you're working with people. What is your intention in the situation and what is the impact that you've had? So me as Enneagram 8, I might say, well, I was just trying to help you, but actually my impact would be to possibly frighten some people because I'm too big, I'm too loud, I look too aggressive. So I might be thinking I'm being very helpful, but actually I'm scaring the hell out of my client. So think through, what is your impact on other people? How do people receive you? What kind of friends do you have? What kind of people are comfortable with you? And think through, what kind of friends do you not have? So those are going to be the people, the types of people that are not easily comfortable with you and that you're going to have to work a little bit harder to build a relationship with. Shall I have a look at some questions?
Yeah, or we can save the questions for later. Maybe if you want to keep going. And I think we're sort of keen to learn as well how that applies to teams of people who are not only the business advisor and client relationship, but relationship when we work together.
So let's just talk a little bit about that. Thank you, Christoph, for leading me there. So now we have a team where you've got a lot of different people with different personalities bouncing off each other. And your job is to try and help everyone in the team have a functional relationship. So the first thing is to try and understand who actually is in the team. What are the personalities and what are the relationships likely to be like? You can also create situations where people can connect. So this is the rationale for team building or doing informal stuff or meeting every Monday morning and say, how was your weekend? It's almost like you need to find constructive ways that people can build relationships so that when they have personality conflicts, at least they have some sort of baseline of care for each other and they're willing to engage in the conflicts. I think that's the role of the business owner, is to build bridges amongst the team. Not everyone is going to get on with everyone, but if you can find ways in which team members can connect, you've done quite a lot of the job. I love the Enneagram, and I would love to talk for hours about how this works in teams, but I'm really concerned about the
maybe we can organize a webinar specifically on that. You know, of course, other people may already be using other tools.
Yeah.
Similar to the Enneagram, well, different to the Enneagram, but you know, sort of also complementing people on their strengths and how they show up in the world.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting if people, if you are, maybe you can just in the text chat, any of the attendees that are using other tools, what kind of tools do you use for this kind of profiling, or what did you call it? What's the term that you use? Julia, typology.
Yes. Well, you can call it anything. I'm just laughing, Dudu. I love your comment. It's something that I've been trying to work with for years, is that I always look too bossy and scary. And that, you know, when I work with people who are not as bossy and scary as me, then I have to really manage myself so that I don't become too big or domineering or controlling. So I just want to say I really relate to your comment, Dudu. So thank you. And the thing that is also interesting is that a lot of you business advisor guys could be Enneagram 8s, because you're in a sort of a service role. You're mentoring and helping others, and that's something that Enneagram 2s and 8s and 1s really, really relate to.
So Julia, shall we just pause there for a moment? There are some questions so remember to put your questions in the Q&A that we make sure that we can answer them. Let's ask, let's bring Mornay in, Mornay Kurtz, the engineering guy. So it would be interesting if he's an Enneagram 8 or not. I'm not sure, Mornay. If you want to switch on your camera and your...
He's been very quiet.
He's been hiding. That would be a typical five stunt to pull, Mornay. Mornay, have you done, so welcome, by the way. Thank you very much for offering your time to share your experience with us. Have you done any of these profiling tests yourself and with your team?
Yes, I did some of them, and actually I got the point fitting in like all over the show by the Enneagram. If I take everything in this Enneagram and I listen to Julia, and actually in all points, there's something about the company which I've started. For everybody, I'm Mornay Kurtz, and I'm the owner of MCK Engineering Projects, MCK Academy and Skills Development, and MCK Labor Hire. So I'm going to tell you how all three things fit together. I started this business in 2006, but the journey actually started way before 2006. When I finished school in 1988, I went to sea in 1989 and worked as an engineering cadet, because I had this interest in doing everything in engineering, and everything went well. And my granddad came along, and for you guys, he's German, and when he talks, everybody listens. And he told me, no, you must go study for a teacher. And I didn't want to disagree with him, and I went studying teaching. So I finished off my teaching diplomas, and I teach it for about 3 years just to repay my bursary to the government. And then in that time, Saldanha still came along, and they were looking for local people, students to send to Newcastle and Van der Bijl Park for this project of the whole of Saldanha. And wow, this is my opportunity to get on this bus and do the things actually that I want to do because I wanted to be in engineering. And I went to an apprenticeship with welding, an apprenticeship with boiler making, where I qualified myself as a qualified welder and a qualified boiler maker. And coming back after I qualified for a qualified welder and boiler maker, I started working by Saldanha Steel, and I also wanted to do fitting because I want to have the whole package because my interest was relying in maintenance and engineering maintenance. But I never had an opportunity to finish the fitting side due to another brilliant opportunity Saldanha Steel gave me to work in their project department. And I started working as a junior planner up to a senior planner. And after the senior planner, I was head of the department. So now I knew the work itself and I know how to plan the work and resources and everything that goes apart with it. And in 2000.
So Mornay, if I may ask, so knowing the job, knowing the technical stuff, knowing the engineering part, that's not enough when you create a team, is it? Maybe if you can reflect with us, sort of in the way that you approached, sort of getting people involved that are not only technical astute, but that represents all that you need in the business, especially if they're diverse, if they come from different backgrounds or different generations, or in our country, of course, sort of there kind of some cultural divisions too that one is to take into account.
I'm actually coming to that point.
Yeah.
I'm actually coming to that point, sir. And knowing all this stuff, 2006, Saldanha Steel came with opportunity, giving packages to the people, and I took the package and said, wow, this is the opportunity. I got the knowledge, I got the money to start with my own business. So I started off working myself with 6 people that is same skills with me. Doing the jobs myself, I know that the company won't grow. I had to build a spine for this company. I had to build a big spine, a strong spine, so that the company can grow. So me doing the work myself, because every time I had to finish one job and go to another one. So for me to grow the business, I had to do a lot of different jobs at the same time. So I had 2 choices. I could rather employ a spine to be a better spine for the company, or I can actually teach my own guys. And I took the second option. And I trained these guys according to my age. Today, they are the seniors at my company. With these opportunities, also CRVs came along and they gave me a project down in East London. At that time, there were a lot of good boiler makers down in Saldanha, but they were not so prepared boiler makers. And we took the opportunity to go to East London. Not worrying about making the money, but taking the opportunity to empower ourselves to do the work. And I took the guys down to East London and we learned a lot. So I took my own guys and empowered them to do the work. And from that, we were growing into different sections of marine. And our interest also only lies in marine, because we started also by doing training for the people. So to answer your question about the selection of people is, I selected my own guys and I select people on trust, which I can trust. I didn't go out in the market and find people with big qualifications and whatever. I had to trust the people, and I transferred my knowledge into them. And I always had those 3 questions for me: know what you know what you don't know, and know somebody that knows. And that's by answering that 3 questions, we moved forward.
Right, so Julia, how does that sound?
Yeah.
How does that sound as a
No, so I'm hearing Mornay. So a lot of so Mornay, I think, is very similar in personality to me. Straightforward guy. It's all on gut. Strong guy. Works hell of a hard. Transfers his knowledge. He's not interested in qualifications. He's just interested in people that can do the job. Happy to knuckle down, clean the drains if he needs to. Fits very much that Enneagram 8 profile. So, I mean, you know, Mornay's team would probably need to be a whole lot of like really practical, down-to-earth, straightforward guys. Because if, Mornay, do you lose your temper from time to time?
Yes, I do.
So like, do you
But
find
I learned to pass that over to I got 2 senior personnel here that actually was one of the 6 guys that was the same skills by me. And I turned everything over to them, so they lose their temper now.
Okay, so you got them to be the difficult one. That's quite a good strategy. But Enneagram 8s often are the bad cop because they get very cross. They get easily frustrated with people who don't seem to think like them. So that's why it's useful to understand who you're talking to. But maybe your Boilermakers and your Oaks are just like you. Do you think you've hired people just like you, or have you got other ones, different types?
I got other ones, different types, but actually what's happening here inside my factory is we mold them to be like me.
Oh no, Mornay, shame. And do they do a very good job of that? Can you make them like you?
Not actually, what we do is we use people on their strong points.
Yeah.
We use people on their strong points, like you get a pipe fitter and you get a boiler maker. We would rather use the pipe fitter on pipe fitting and we'll use the boiler maker on boiler maker.
It's the same with personality. Some people, you let them engage with the client, and other people, you keep them in the back room.
Yeah, so Julia, that's a very important point. So let's hear, so we've got Dudu and Luleka and Genevieve who have put up their hands. So if you want to put on your video and switch on your camera, you can make your contribution too, guys. Good. So do you find something similar in what you're doing, or Luleka, Dudu, or Genevieve? If you want to speak. Dudu, I see is unmuted, so if you want to speak, you can do so.
Hi, Julia. Hi, everyone.
Hi. I want to see your face.
Oh, I don't know how to do that, though.
Okay, that's
okay. You can just speak. It's fine.
Yeah. I just wanted to find out. Entrepreneurs, they kind of fly as they build, or build as they fly. Do you get what I'm saying? We don't have a privilege to understand certain things before we were exposed and had to act on them.
Yeah.
And then realize that we need to do something about these things.
Yeah.
So my question is, how do we then make sure as advisors we put this thing in that environment, which is not, structured, if I can say it. Thank you.
Yeah, Duda, that's a great question, because a lot of entrepreneurs are kind of wingers, people that can adapt as they go along. And that's why they do well. But a lot of other people are very structured in how they work, and they can't work without a structure. And there's a place in the world for both people. Both, they're good for different stuff. There are entrepreneurs that work in a more structured way, but they're not so responsive to market needs. And I think that as an advisor, you can't force if you try and make structured people be more adaptive, they get very anxious and scared. And then they dig their heels in, and you're not going to get anything out of them. Yep. Is my experience.
Yeah, no, indeed. That's experience tells that too. So let's hear Genevieve. Do you have something similar that you would like to share?
Genevieve, hi.
We can hear you, yes, Genevieve.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Okay. I recently had a very awful experience hiring someone in the organization who was really not a right fit. I think I was misjudged because I thought that she was, and I thought that she had a great personality, and yeah, you know, very flexible, very teachable as well. But it so happened that maybe it was my personality that scared her off, you know. Maybe it was just my expectations and the fast pace. So I tend to question, you know, what is it, my management style? Maybe I micromanaged her, or how do I improve in employing the right person?
Yeah, I think that's a lovely question, and it's so hard to get the right person. Sometimes we employ people that are like us, or like our mother, or our father, or someone we know. And when they remind us of someone we know, we sort of automatically trust them, even though it's a very stupid thing to do. We just sort of intuitively trust them and expect them to kind of deliver. And this gets even more complicated when we're dealing with people of different races, because we don't know the cultural cues, and different religions. We're not so good on the cues on how to make sense of that person. And then there's the generational thing, which is a bit of a nightmare. I know my experience in hiring millennials is really bad. They all look so keen and happy to work, and then they get in the office and then they think I'm a dragon. So there's quite a lot of complexity around this. Maturity is another thing. You know, sometimes we think that we're hiring someone who's mature enough for a role, and often they get into the role and behave like babies. It's very hard, and I just want to notice that. So I think the thing to do, which you mentioned, Guinevere, is to try and understand what is your bias in the world. What kind of people do you feel attracted to and land up with? I've got a terrible bias around Enneagram 7s. I just hire them left, right, and center, and then I get really irritated when they don't finish stuff off to the right level that I want. So I've had to learn that when I see those kind of guys, I mustn't just immediately hire them. So maybe that's something you can learn. There's also something about management style and young people. They don't like the command and control bossiness that my generation grew up with. So there's all of these complexities, and I'd love to say more, but I'm just really aware of time.
No, so the time is running out far. Let's hear from Leka, and then we've got two more hands up. If you can be quick, guys. I see Vinod wants to say something too. So Leka, if you unmute, you may be able to speak, or maybe I can unmute for you if you would like to. Leka, what would you like to comment about? You can speak now. Looks like we're losing Leka. So Vinod, if I can come to you. You need to unmute, or I can help you to unmute if you need to.
Okay, help me unmute.
Hi, Vinod. Nice hearing your voice.
Hello.
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon to everybody. Interesting conversation, and I think, you know, it's depending on the different type of industry you work. Mornay's got challenges there. Julia, you got challenges. I haven't heard from Ridwan. I'm looking forward to hear some from him. But I think, bottom line, you first got to start understanding yourself.
Yeah.
Get to know yourself. What's your strengths? What's your weaknesses? And then hire people that are not like you, that complement you. You know, so I'm a type of person, okay, I'm a business coach and ex-banker and that. So, you know, I learned certain structure and certain corporate rules or whatever it may be. But everybody hasn't done that. So I've got to understand what is their needs, what is their desires, you know, where do they come from? I'll give you a very good example is that I played golf with a chartered accountant that sits behind his father's shop counter. And now he's built a whole lot of businesses. And he always tells me, he says, you know, I hire chartered accountants that are sort of way just above average, not the smart guys that get the top marks in the country. And I said, but why do you do that? He says, because the top guys in the country are going to look for other jobs, you know, and he gets more work out of them. So you got to be careful. So with Mornay's type of workers, you'll find that it's got to nurture them. They've got the technical skills, but it's about the life skills. I give you a simple example about the type of industry Mornay these things, and maybe Mornay will answer this question. He said, I hope he hasn't got a type of industry where every Monday morning he's giving out loans, you know, because we tend to find that's a problem, because one of the things we fail to understand is that a lot of the people have got certain knowledge, but they don't have financial knowledge. And once they start learning how to budget and nurture them about budgeting and how they're going to look after their families or something, then they start seeing you as a different leader, a leader that's caring, worrying about their families and things like that. And then slowly, also most important, Julia, is that if I can just give you one piece of advice, he said, get to know the people that work with you. Get them to understand their roles, their job description. Have that weekly meeting. It'll take maybe half an hour, eventually it'll be 5 minutes. It's more about how are you doing? What can I help you with? And yes, of course, we also got to understand is that if we are the leaders in the business, and we own the business or whatever, whichever way, we're there to work on work, not in work. And Mornay, well done. You've delegated nicely to the other two people that can lose their temper, not you. So I think you're controlling your pressure points quite well.
Yeah, so you know what I learned from Mornay is...
From a coaching point of view, I think that as leaders, I would suggest coaching is a good idea. Get your people to be mentored also, because those are some of the ways that you can tackle some of these problems. I'm not saying it's the only solutions. I'm sure that with experience, you can tackle more solutions. And that's my 5 cents worth.
Thanks, Vinod. No, I think Mornay, thank you for sharing, especially that thing about trust and, you know, sort of building a team around some core people, you know, you can trust. I think that's an important starting point. And you also spoke about the skills and knowledge that people have. But what I take from Julia is that if we really want to build strong teams, if we are not only kind of focusing on the technical side of delivering on our workload, but building teams that can transform and go into the future, then we need to take these other things into account too, like personality typing, like the possible generational differences, like cultural variations, maturity, you know, sort of, so where people are in terms of understanding themselves and so on. So we are fast running out of time. I'm going to ask Mornay and Julia to each think about a final comment, but we can have one more very quick input from Luambo, who's been very active.
Yeah, he's given me great questions. Loving it.
We need to hear from Luambo. So Luambo, you are actually unmuted, so you can speak. Okay, so the speaking doesn't work, but you've looked at Luambo's comments there, Julia. Do you just want to reflect on them quickly?
What the question he just asked and I responded to was one about failure. He was saying at school you're told to kind of pretend that you never fail. But actually in entrepreneurship, it's through failure that you learn stuff. And I just want to acknowledge the beauty of that response, that actually it's only when we acknowledge our failures that we remember to learn something new. So failure is just another form of success. And it's just a way of learning new stuff. And entrepreneurs need to do lots of experiments to try and make things work, logistically or product-wise or whatever. And being resilient around failure is going to help you learn more and develop more. Of course, it's expensive, but it's very useful to acknowledge failure.
Yeah, no, indeed. So I'm going to come to you now, Mornay, and I'm just going to ask you, and I'll ask you the same question, Julia, before we wrap up on the topic. By the way, if you still have a question, please post it in the Q&A and we can do a text engagement there. And so Julia, if you don't mind, and Mornay, if you don't mind, just having a look at the Q&A if there are more text questions to answer. So if there is a question, a pertinent question that you still have, you can still put it there and we can answer it in text, because we're going to go on to IBASA and the opportunity to earn or to win a bursary from Chiba just now. But Mornay, what is your big takeaway? Thanks again, by the way, for allocating your time to us for us to learn from you. What is your big takeaway from the discussion we've had this afternoon?
Like Julia said, we more like similar, and I can see the similarities between me and Julia. Business, the thing is, you have to make mistakes to learn out of the mistakes. Like I told you previously, I got these 3 questions, and there is golden questions on me. Know what you know what you don't know, and the answers with know what you don't know is where I put some people into my supervision structure. Things that I don't know, they know. They know somebody that knows. Like you talk about the cultural stuff, is we write everything into SOPs, in standing operating procedures. And if we have to do it in Xhosa and we have to do it in Zulu, we will do it so that people understand what the job is about. So they study the SOPs before they go do the jobs. That's how we do things down here.
Right. Thank you very much. And Julia, a last thought from you?
It's been so lekker here with Mornay. I just wish I could meet him in the flesh. He's just a different version of myself, and I've really enjoyed his practical straightforwardness and his awareness of who he is as a person. And I think that's the big learning, like know who you are. Am I this kind of a person? Am I that kind of a person? And if I am this person, what do I expect other people to be like? And offer them the opportunity to not be like you, but maybe to be like themselves. Because they're much better at being themselves than you.
Yeah, no, great stuff. So even as practitioners supporting others, it starts with ourselves and helping our entrepreneurs or business owners to see themselves as leader. That starts off leading their teams by understanding themselves. That's quite powerful. So thank you very much, Mornay and Julia, for your input here today. Please stay connected. We are going to move on to IBASA stuff and so on now. Okay. And attendees, I see the Gengi, I think it's pronounced Luambo Samoa Valhalla. There's some more questions coming in there. Esther, sorry Esther, I had you in the room and then we ran out of time. But I see you've got some comments there, so we can still attend to that as
it's very good stuff, yeah.
I just want to ask. Thank you very much, Julia. You don't have to run away. We're going to do some interesting stuff still here.
Yeah. I'll be here, but I'll be muted.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. We do have another question to ask in terms of what our dominant modes of support is, and it may intrigue you to see what others are doing. So yeah, you may actually practice more than one of these disciplines. So perhaps 2 most important ones, if you could select the most 2 important ones that you are engaging in as a practitioner. You know, facilitator, trainer, director, advisor, consultant, mentor, coach, or other. You can actually type in the text chat if you do something else. It would give us a really good sense of who the people are in the room. And while people are voting away there, may I introduce to you Redwan Jawuddin from Chiba. Redwan is quickly going to introduce us to the postgraduate diploma in small enterprise consulting that Chiba Business School is offering, and a possibility for IBASA members to win one of 4 bursaries. So Redwan, if you can unmute. And I think there are some slides. So shall I do a slide share for you too? You need to unmute. There you are. Great. Welcome, Redwan.
Thank you, Christoph. How are you doing?
No, we stressed a lot today to get this webinar on the road, but I think we've been able to share some good insights, and I hope the 70-odd people that were on the webinar learned something new today that they can apply in their work. As I know that you guys are offering through the postgraduate diploma.
Yeah. You want to put up the slides quickly? I won't.
Yes, we can do it.
Won't take long. Okay. So good day to everybody. Hello and welcome to this short, tiny bit. And just very briefly, I saw Dudu coming on, and she's in fact currently a student in this program. So hello to you, Dudu, if you're still around on the webinar. Many years ago, Tsiba had a conversation in trying to understand entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship within an ecosystem. And so it's always been committed to doing an interaction and a very complementary one between entrepreneurship and leadership. And what it decided to do this time around was to look at the people that support entrepreneurs. And it called in a whole load of actors in the area and asked to list. What usually happens is people come in and they expect to work with the passions of a 45-year-old entrepreneur. And that's difficult. It's generational, as Julia says. And that comes in all the time. Just excuse me, Christoph. I love the jacaranda trees in Gauteng, but God, they make me sick. So that's in terms of the ecosystem. If you can go to the next slide, Christoph. Just call up all of it.
Lots of movement, yeah.
Yeah, lots of movement. And now go back, one back, thank you. And that's typically what SEBA looks like. So it engages with entrepreneurship in a multifaceted way. It engages with community, it engages with academic and corporate partners, student business advisors, which includes cooperations with Northeastern University in Boston, for example, our own students, and then entrepreneurs that emerge from our undergraduate pool of students, and then of course entrepreneurs that come to our Ignition Academy for support. So what is it that we work on? So the postgraduate diploma, very basically, the expectations of what one can expect is that there'll be work on self, which was again raised by the previous two speakers, understanding entrepreneurship and understanding new forms of entrepreneurship, understanding organizations, and understanding the global context. And how does all of this pull together? Okay. The slide that you have on at the moment is multiple fold, because it will give you a list of the modules that the students next year will be doing, but also a list of dates. So here's how it works. Students are required to come in for six-day periods over a period of 18 months, starting on the 11th of March. Okay.
2020, I suppose.
Yeah, 2020, I beg your pardon. And what they will do over that period is entrepreneurship. And I thought that Vinod's comment was very, very interesting, because Julia speaks about leadership and leadership styles and personality types. And Vinod comes in and says, but we also got to look at coaching and mentoring. So we bring in the coaching and mentoring component into it. We bring in the leadership. And for us at SEBA, it's extremely vital to have the leadership and the mentorship, because the one set of work speaks to the other set of work. One's internal with an external manifestation of entrepreneurship, and the coaching is the bridging conversation between the two. Then we also have entrepreneurial finance, legal environment of business, global environment of business, for better understandings of self-working in context of organizations, self-working in context of global spaces. And then of course that ends off with a capstone project, consulting capstone project at the end of the program. All students practically work with an entrepreneur for the duration. All assignments and take-home exams are based on theoretical applications learned in class. Yeah, so it's very heavily experiential in its focus. And we also have a series of foreign guests because of our engagement with our partners in Zurich. And so this is, for example, the Thought Leader series that we had this year, and we double up on our foreign guests by inviting people for Thought Leader Series. We've just completed the last one in entrepreneurial finance. So just to go over very quickly, because I'm getting my cue, Christoph, that you're slipping the slides quite fast. It's an 18-month program. It's an equivalent of an honors. It's NQF 8. The requirements are a 3 years bachelor's degree and 4 years relevant experience in the business advisor, business consultant, business trainer type of experience. We have a 10% quota for recognition of prior learning. In other words, for people that don't have the 3-year degree, and a 5-year intake for people not from South Africa. What the fees are 49,500 Rand for 18 months. And in terms of our offering to IBASA and IBASA members, we are offering 4 bursaries of 50% each.
Yeah, great. That's great. Thank you very much. I think you may have a few takers there. Just in terms of the entry requirements, is it a bachelor's degree and 4 years experience, or how's this RPL thing working? You have to have a degree.
You have to have a degree and 4 years relevant experience in an entrepreneurship space. Okay. We've had people that wanted to enter entrepreneurial spaces. We've had people that wanted to enter the business advising space, business training, business consulting, business development space, and that's all good. RPL, in the absence of a 3-year bachelor's degree, NQF 7, you would require to submit an RPL portfolio.
Okay, so it is in fact possible if you don't have a degree to be RPL'd for equivalent of a degree.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
So don't be put off if you don't have a degree yet. You can, in fact, if you are meeting the RPL, the recognition of prior learning requirements, enter this. So let's just move on. So, by the way, all the facilitators, trainers, coaches, advisors, consultants, mentors that are on the call today, here are people that may enter this, and there's a whole move, if you haven't noticed, in terms of the formalization and the professionalization of business advising, of which qualifications is definitely going to be one of the elements. So as a professional, you're well advised to attend to putting qualifications behind your name too. Most of us, 59%, said that we are performing services as advisors. We also, a lot of us, 44%, are mentors and facilitators, 36%, and then there are all some trainers and so on, and we're also coaching, 23% of us are coaches too. So quite a spread of different disciplines in the business support and practice industry that we are. But if you are interested, and thank you very much for explaining this concisely, Redouane. If you are interested in the bursary and in getting more information about exactly how the postgraduate diploma in small enterprise consulting is offered and how you can participate in that. Please, even if it's not for next year, but for the future, you can also let Chiba know that you are interested by voting in the poll now that I've put up. So you actually have to say yes there. If you say no, I'm not interested, they will not send you the details. If you say yes, please send me more details. Chiba will be forwarding you information, and I see no one is saying that they're interested. So are people seeing the poll? Redouane, are you seeing the poll, Andre?
Yes, I am. Okay,
there's some starting to vote. Yes, I'm interested. And then the second question there is if you would perhaps also be interested in some short courses, which is it's not a qualification, practical courses, 4 2-hour sessions, most of them online, offered online. You can also vote there. There's some options and topics for you to select from, like creating an impactful and profitable business as one of the courses. Second one, planning for business success based on the context of your client. Thirdly, creating a growth plan. You know, all these development plan and growth plans that people have to do as part of their ESD projects. It's a requirement, in fact, of ESD to have a development plan for each business participating. Then the second last one is supporting your client to increase their sales. And the last one, getting better at offering appropriate. And then the rest of that one is disappearing in front of me now, but I think you can see the whole sentence there. It's about support, better support. Like these competencies that we spoke about today in understanding yourself and being able to support others better, that kind of stuff. So that's the last option that you have there. You may want to attend all of them or just one or two of them. But if you are interested in short courses, you could also vote there. But you have to say, yes, please send me more details if you want to qualify for the bursary. And I see there's a good number of people that are interested. So that's great. I'm going to keep this poll open for a moment still so that you can vote. Keep voting. Yes, Redouan. Yes.
Can I quickly come in for a couple of seconds?
Sure.
I think that the conversation around short courses is a very, very interesting one here for us here at SEBA. And so while they're not formally accredited in any particular way or so forth, at SEBA we're having conversations around occupational, professional and general streams of short courses. And we're also very, very serious about having an articulation and an internal articulation from these short courses that you were talking about into a stream and a portfolio of courses that will finally fit into an NQF level 8 qualification, which is the PGWs.
Yeah. Great. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. So thank you very much for sharing that. And Chiba, thank you very much for giving value to IBASA members. You have to be a IBASA member, by the way, to qualify for this bursary. Andre, is that correct? So if I can draw you in, Andre, if you can mute. Oh, unmute rather. Then we can hear your voice too. Or should I unmute you? Are you struggling there?
There you are.
There you are.
Can you hear me?
So from the...
that would be great. I think it's an open opportunity for some of our either members or new members. Yes. So it will be great.
Great stuff. So shall we move over to news from IBASA, where we are at, I think you've got a few things to share with us. Shall I put on your
yes, please,
slides that you can, it's really fancy slides, so it's nice to put them on. I'm going to just get to the right place.
Christoph, while you
just before we oh sorry, I'll come back to this one. I've got a wrong sequence of slides here, so let me get you the right slide. There we are.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Christoph, just before I go into the slides, I just want to say thank you very much. This was, again, one of these eye-openers. A challenge for when you grow older. Where do you draw the line? How do you really work with the teams? So thank you very much for Julia, as well as Mornay and Redouan for your time. Much appreciated. From the IBASA side, I think we are still building momentum. We are excited about things. If you can go to the next slide. We had a great Durban launch very recently, and I want to thank the team down in Durban for their efforts. We had about 40 people who attended the first session. One of the things that was great for me and near to the heart as well is we did sign an MOU with the Regis Business School, which means that much of our emphasis going forward will be on qualifications. It will be on growing the business advisor. So great news for me that we could do that. The next one, ITC project in progress. We did get the approval from the board that we can put things in place that will benefit our members. So we're looking at, I think, 2 or 3 things. The one is the learner management system. The one is a very or far more improved membership or member management system where we can have communication, interaction, etc. with our members. And then the last one is the more complex one, perhaps, is the skills gap assessments. Looking at the competency framework, translating that into technology. And that is what we're busy working on at the moment. So the competency framework, much emphasis and effort is now on that, not only to take it into a technical to change it into technology, but also to use this as a solid foundation for the competencies required by business advisors as well as qualifications. So I'm busy working on aligning and bringing the things into play that will enable us to do the qualifications effectively. Member profile update and communication. As I said, that is one of the key things for us, that we pretty soon we will be in a position to, when I say pretty soon, it is within weeks we have to get this in place where we can update, or where members will be able to update their profiles, and we will know who you are. We will be the big dream and big, not challenge, but what I have to get done is that to build the profile in such a way that we will be able to see that you are Mr. X and you're in this industry and this is what you can do. And as I say, the learner management system, that is going to be very, very much focused on all our learning as we move forward. That is new or projects, not only projects, but learning exercises, perhaps, where we can do online, etc. training, but also the management of our information regarding for our members. I think this is a very nice slide. Christoph, thank you very much for this. How do I join IBASA? It's a very simple process. I think there are a few things in here that you should understand, perhaps. Go to our website, www.ibasa.org.za. Select the membership drop-down menu, then download the application. Now, this is perhaps a little bit technical now on this side. If you drop us an email at admin@ibasa.org.za or andre@ibasa.org.za, then we will reach out to you to take you through the process. So I believe it's a simple process, and we're in the process of simplifying this as well. So moving forward, I believe that from a technical perspective, it will be easier. So yes, this is great news for me. I am really excited, looking forward to new members joining up, or new people who would love to grow as a business advisor. If I can thank you again for today, for instance, this is the type of thing that will change the country, I believe, that we get good input from good speakers that can influence our business advisors. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Andre. So if you have questions around IBASA membership and so on, you can still post them. We will answer them. In fact, we'll keep the webinar open for a while still, so we make sure we catch all the text questions that people are asking. And we are still a good close to 60 people here in the room here, so there's clear some interest in terms of what the value is that you can get as a member. Even if you've been a member and your membership has lapsed, it is going to become, and that I can promise you. I'm not so closely involved in the detail of it, but I know that there are definitely moves happening in terms of the professionalization of our industry, and that membership of a professional body is definitely one of those things that you'll have to do if you don't have it, if you haven't done it yet, so that you can show your professional standing in offering services as a practitioner. So thank you very much for that, Andre. I'm not going to let you go now. There may be people that want to come. So you can raise your hand as an attendee. Some have raised their hands if you want to speak. But just before we do that, I want to ask a last favor of everyone in the room. Sorry, I went the wrong way there. Just to give your feedback on your experience here today to help us in improving the webinar. So I know technically we had a few challenges today. Luckily, we've been able to deliver most of our webinar successfully, even though if we started a bit with a few bumps. But webinar, in fact, I'll type it quickly here in the text chat so that you can just click on it. Webinar-feedback, the-epi.org If you open that link that I've typed in there now, you'll be able to, it's just three quick questions for you to answer to help us in improving the webinars that it actually addresses your needs. So it's for you to go there quickly, and just you can do it now as we speak. Just click on that link that I've typed in the text chat, and the quick form that you can fill out to give us feedback so that we can improve what we do to meet your specific needs going into the future. We do have our next webinar planned already for the 14th of November. The topic there is how your business clients can use interns or youth employment participants effectively. And I must say, we've got already got the panelists lined up. It's proven to be quite it's going to be a nice one too. Lots to learn, not only for our own practices, for our clients, but also for our own practices. And in fact, if it all works out, one of the panelists will be a business advisor that is using youth interns in the business advising business that they're running. So there's something for us to learn something about. So that's enough of that. So let's stop the screen share. And Andre, with your permission, some people have their hands up. So let's see. Is that okay, Andre? Samuel's got a question. Can I bring Samuel in to ask his question?
Yeah, please.
Samuel, let's just promote you quickly. So Samuel, if you want to unmute, you are not able to come in. Let's see if you try again. You disappeared now, so maybe you got a fright when I invited you. Okay, anyone that wants to just ask a quick question, you can either type it in the Q&A or raise your hand to speak. Doesn't look like anyone wants to speak. So we do have a few text chats there. If you have to run off now, you can do so. We'll go way through those text chats. So thank you very much, Redwan, for sharing with us the details of the certificate or the qualification that you're offering at TIBA. But there's Samuel coming in, so we can still talk to him quickly. Before I thank you, Andre. Samuel.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you well, yes.
Okay, so my question is, should there not be a forum or an opportunity where members can pay their subscription rather than writing to IBASA annually for IBASA to renew their membership?
Andre, did you get that?
We are currently working on that as well, so that we can have an online payment. We are looking at the invoicing. We are looking at quite a few things that will make it much easier for renewals, for new applicants, new and renewals. So yes, that's in the process.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Andre. And Andina, you also had a question? You can speak now. Andile? Don't see a microphone linked to Andile, so sorry, that's not going to work. Is there anyone else that wants to ask a question? There's a hand coming up. Who's that? Mojabeng. Let's bring you into the room quickly. So Mojabeng, you want to join us? Mojabeng is gone too. Oh no, there you are. So let's unmute you quickly and then you can speak. There you are. You can speak now.
Okay. I wanted to ask, riding on Samuel's question, could you not also give a way for us to have our certificates uploaded electronically so that we could always have access to them whenever? I've had difficulty receiving mine. It would be nice to have it on your platform somewhere where I can always get a hold of it when I need it.
Okay. I'm making a note, but we did look at that as well. So online certification, but I will make sure that I address this one as well. E-certification. Some people, they need the document. Others want the e-certificate. So thank you very much for that one.
Great. And if we then have, I think we've got Vanessa joining us. Vanessa, if you can unmute, and we'll unmute you if you don't know where to go to. And we can also ask that you switch on your camera if you don't mind. What is on? Okay, there you are. Hi, Vanessa. You can speak? We don't hear you. That's funny. Your microphone is on. So there may be a technical issue that you have in giving your microphone permission to speak through Zoom. But if you type your question, can you type your question? Okay, we can't hear you at all. So if you can type your question, then we'll address that. Is there anyone else that would like to ask a quick question before we sign off? Okay, so we'll be ending off now. Vanessa is still typing a question, which we'll answer. Andre, so if you can just stay on into the text area there, and we can address those questions. I see there are a few of them. Okay, so I see that Redwan has realized that some people don't know where to go for more information on this, and he's suggesting that we just type in the, we've sent it privately, by the way, Redwan, but we can type Chiba's email address, website address in there too. So if you want to have more information about the Chiba program, the postgraduate diploma in small enterprise consulting, you can see it there. But Vanessa, if you type in your question, we will address it by text. And there are a few others. There's still a text questions too. So I'm not sure. Do you want to tackle them from the top, Andre, or some of them may not relate to IBASA? If there are any IBASA related ones,
just looking.
Doesn't seem so, eh?
No, I'm going through all the questions.
When are you going to PE?
Sorry?
Welcome is asking when is IBASA coming to PE?
We actually had a launch in PE already. That was in June, July, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember exactly, but we had a great launch in PE. But it will be good to, I think let's speak again. Let's get Ricardo, our chairman, in, and let's see what we can do for you.
Right. Okay, the others are all. Lynn was asking about the website, which we've done. We bought Chiba's website. Mujabeng, thank you for your support and great work. I have been learning a lot from your organization. I've been graded since 2018, but I've never received my certificate. You don't have to respond here, but I would appreciate the response. So Mojabeng Mashale, Andre, if you can just take a note there. He's looking for a certificate. By the way, if anyone else is looking for the certificates, what should they do?
Just contact us, please.
Okay, by email. Admin
send it to either or Andre, please.
Andre. There you've got permission to email the MD directly. So Vanessa, have you posted your question yet? Don't see it. You've posted.
Sorry, Christoph, what is Mojabeng's surname or full details?
It is here. We will. I've went past it now.
Sorry, thanks.
Well,
can I get it?
We will have it. Mojabeng Mashale. I don't see your question, Vanessa. Oh, there. Can we also have a badge to upload to LinkedIn? A LinkedIn badge, Andre.
Okay, I'm not going to say yay or nay because I don't know.
I think what we can do, if there is a member, because I know that there's an issue of linking to LinkedIn at the moment in terms of the way that the IBASA website is set up. So if there's a LinkedIn expert that wants to offer the Secretariat help, can they do so? To make sure that we can set this up well.
Okay.
If there is, please email Andre. If there's someone that can quickly help Secretariat to make this possible, so Vanessa can put a badge on the LinkedIn profile, please just contact Andre at ibasa.org.za. Okay. So nice to see this name here. We're not going to talk about those things. What is the difference between IBASA and Entrepreneurial Planning Institute, if any? Welcome is asking. So I'm not sure, Andre, if you want to give a badge of that. It's totally different things. So EPI, I'll tell you what EPI is. Andre can tell you what IBASA is. So EPI is an NGO. It's a non-profit organization that was formed by a dozen of fairly well established and experienced business advisors with the purpose of promoting good practice and improvement in quality of service in the industry through things like webinars and online courses and peer circles that we do with mentors and so on. So that's the EPI's purpose in life.
The Institute of Business Advisors for Southern Africa, we are looking at the accreditation of business advisors, but not only for accreditation of business advisors, it's also for professionalization. So very much focus on looking at policies in the country, policies, qualifications, curriculums, etc. So the growth of the business advisor, but also within the ecosystem. So I hope that helps.
No, it doesn't.
But please feel free to send me a note. And then, of course, we work very closely with EPI.
Yeah. Right. So EPI, I'm a member of IBASA and so on too, of course, you know, sort of.
Yeah.
The professionalization of our industry is a new thing. So we are going to take a while to get used to it and so on. But you've had Chiba in the room here today, EPI, IBASA, and in the attendance list, there are a lot of other people that are contributing to the professionalization of our industry. And I think it's worthy for us to be engaged in that. By the way, there are some dates that the Services CEDA, the Department of Small Business Development, have announced in terms of consultations and engagement that they are planning in the coming months from the end of October. I think it's seven different events, starting off in Bloemfontein, I think, going to Cape Town, and it's London, Durban, Centurion, and Nelspruit, if that's 7. So keep your eyes open if you want to participate in that feedback that the authorities will be providing, and the chance for us as practitioners to engage with them around issues in professionalizing our industry. We better speak up, otherwise they may proceed without our voice. So this is a difficult one to answer because it comes from Nokia 6.1 plus, Andre, before we knock off. So I'm not sure who the person is that's signed in with a Nokia. I haven't had a Nokia in my hand for a while. How can IBASA have a role in connecting business organizations to its members? We'll have to interpret that a bit. How can IBASA have a role in connecting business organizations to its members? That will be the last thing that we address here today before we sign off.
We are actually in the process of looking at setting up the IT that we should be able to do that, I hope. So we are investigating and looking into that. Because I think that is one of the key, it had been a key question, how do we bring the two together? And for quite a while, and I hope that we can get that done.
Yeah. Okay, Nokia 6.1, if you can also maybe just kind of type your real name and email address. I see you're in Cape Town, you want to connect with us in Cape Town. There are quite a few people. In fact, Carl Venter, who's the producer of the webinars, is the chapter lead here in Cape Town. And I see, thanks, Terence, not Craig, posted his email address there for the person that was asking about Port Elizabeth. I can't remember who that was. So you can contact, just check the page back in the text chat and you'll see Terence's email address. You can also do that. And there's Carl's put Ricardo Damas, the regional chair there for PE. His email is also there, so you can make contact with him. Otherwise, contact the IBASA Secretariat, the office, and they'll be able to refer you. So great, we're way over time today, so thanks for staying patient. So there's a good 35 or so of us still here in the room. Thank you for joining us. I can't thank the guests anymore because they had to go already, but looking forward to next month on the 14th of November. Look out for the promotions of the topic of how how your business clients can use interns or youth employment participants effectively. Perhaps also how you as a business advising practice can make use of such initiatives. Great, so have a good Thursday, Friday. I'm not sure how many people are shouting for the rugby on Sunday, I think it is. If we have power, that's you have to check the schedule so that you're at the right place to watch if you want to watch, but we're holding thumbs for them too. I totally forgot because in fact, Mornay is a rugby coach, and we should have spoken about that a bit. Now, what's the difference between a rugby coach and a leader in an organization? But in any case, maybe we can save that for another day. So thanks for joining us, guys, and see you soon.
Thank you, Christoph. Bye-bye.